An amateur treasure hunter's first holiday after life-saving heart surgery becomes a living nightmare when he gets lost in the Australian wilderness.
They're not going to find me. You idiot! I was finished.
He's at the mercy of a hostile environment, deadly predators, and his own mind.
I was actually wishing I'd died.
Without food, water, or his vital medication, he edges closer to death with every step. Theo Rosmulder is on a long-awaited gold prospecting holiday in a remote part of Western Australia with his wife, Pauline.
Hi, love.
Can I get you anything?
No, thanks, love.
Feeling lucky?
Yeah. Today might be the day.
You had your pills?
Yeah. Had them earlier. See you, love.
The treasure hunting trip is a reward for Theo, who's recovering from triple bypass heart surgery. To survive, he needs daily medication to regulate his heartbeat, and Pauline has come along to keep an eye on him.
I don't enjoy the same enthusiasm of gold detective as Theo does, but I do go, as your good wife does. It was an eye-opener to me as to how remote and desolate Western Australian bush is. Once you'd lost sight of that caravan, you didn't go any further. You turned and came back because, I mean, you got turned around and I was lost. You know, it was very, very easy to get lost.
The Australian Outback is one of the world's most sparsely populated regions. Apart from a small Aboriginal settlement about 6 miles from Theo's camp, the area is completely uninhabited.
You can drive for 8 hours constantly and not come across a soul. Wouldn't pass a farmhouse. About the only thing you'd lucky to see would be maybe some wild camels, not a donkey, and basically dirt, trees and nothing else.
The Outback is also home to dangerous wild dogs, or dingoes. Opportunistic predators that eat everything, from lizards to kangaroos, and sometimes even people. Theo and his 2 friends, Doug and Brian, focus their search on a remote region peppered with old mines from the 1900s gold rush. After 2 weeks gold hunting, they feel they know the area so well.
We really need this today?
They leave their handheld GPS in the back of their vehicle.
Back here, 5:30 then?
Yeah.
Be lucky, boys.
To be honest, if I look back, I was getting pretty cocky. I'd been out so many times by myself and thought I knew the area like the back of my hand.
The men will guide themselves back to their vehicle using the sun, as the Outback has few features to navigate by.
We're only going to go out for an hour or so at the most. We decided we weren't going to walk around any great distance. Gold fever.
Lovely.
They talk about gold fever, yeah, that's basically it. If you don't find it, it's the thought of actually finding one. And when you do, you want to find another one.
With one shiny nugget in his pocket, his prospects look good. But Theo's thirst for gold gets the better of him, and his intensive search takes him much further than he realizes.
You get that engrossed in what you're doing. You don't check to see how far you've got. When you turn around, you think to yourself, my God, have I come this far?
While Brian and Doug return safely, Theo's not only late, but he's lost his only way of finding their vehicle. Heavy clouds have rolled in, presenting him with a serious problem.
I looked up at the sky and there was no sun to speak of because of the cloud cover, and the cloud cover was exceptionally thick. So I realised that, this is getting serious.
Theo had planned to retrace his steps to the vehicle using the sun. Without it, or his GPS, he has absolutely no way of navigating.
I basically couldn't quite work out as to which direction to actually go back to the car. And I was getting pretty dejected. So I took an uneducated guess.
Theo has made an error that could cost him his life. Instead of trying to find his way back, he should have followed the golden rule of the Outback. If you get lost, stay put and wait for rescue.
He's taking his time.
It's now half an hour past their rendezvous time. Theo's friends Brian and Doug start to wonder where he is.
I got myself totally disorientated to the point that I didn't know where left, right, up, down, north, east, west was. I looked around and I thought, I've been here before. This area looks so familiar. But I realised that it didn't matter where I was. It all looked familiar.
Theo was in one of the world's harshest environments. A vast and featureless desert, devoid of food and water. Without a compass, and with light fading, Theo is totally lost.
How in the hell am I going to get out of this? It was getting just on dusk. I knew by then that I'd be spending a night out in the open if I didn't find my way home.
Then, in the last minutes of daylight, he stumbles on a fence, a lifeline in the middle of nowhere.
We were told that if you find a track or a fence line, if you follow it, it'll take you back to the Aboriginal community. I've got to try and work out from here which way to go.
Theo's decision may mean the difference between life and death. One way will lead him to the Aboriginal settlement and safety, but the other will take him deeper into hostile wilderness, miles from help, food, or water. Lost and alone, Theo has to make a stark choice. Left or right? With night falling fast, Theo decides to take a chance.
When you're looking at a cold night, if there's an opportunity to get back to camp, you tend to grab it. I take tablets for a heart operation that I had, and I wanted to get back to make sure I took those.
You had your pills?
Had him earlier.
Theo's medication is essential to maintain a steady heartbeat. But he left his pills in camp. Missing doses can send his heart out of control and put his life in immediate danger. Back at camp, Pauline is increasingly worried.
He can nearly talk himself into palpitations if he doesn't have his tablets.
The heart wasn't doing that great. I could hear it just thumping in me head, and the more I walked, the worse it got.
Theo has bet his life on the direction he's chosen to lead him to safety. He's still ignoring the rule of the Outback, to stay where he is once lost.
I took off, followed the track. Did that for probably an hour.
But his gamble is about to fail.
When the track ran out, I thought to myself, well, that'd be right. The only track I picked to follow, and it's the only one that ran out.
Theo has walked miles in the wrong direction. Instead of the safety of the Aboriginal community, he's ended up deep in the desert.
That's about how good my luck was going.
Hello, Theo? Pauline here?
Yeah, Pauline, we're just packing up, and Theo's not back yet.
You what?
By this stage, it's dark. Really was cold. We found our way out there to where they were.
Theo's wife raises the alarm, but a full search can't begin until daylight. Without his medication, that could be too late. But it's not the only danger Theo faces. Temperatures in the Outback can plunge below freezing in winter. He's only wearing thin cotton clothing and is at real risk of hypothermia.
Wouldn't you just know it?
At night time, it gets very cold. Once the sun went down, you lost all heat. You think to yourself, well, okay, I've got to find somewhere to huddle into that gets me out of the weather somewhere.
Theo faces another crucial decision.
Do I tread back, follow the track all the way back, or do I try and find some place to camp for the night? I decided to look for an outcrop with a hollow in it where, you know, the kangaroos sleep.
Theo abandons the fence, knowing that he risks not finding it again. Instead, he searches for a rocky outcrop and possible shelter. But it could spell danger.
I was a bit dubious when I first got there. Don't know what's in here. You know, if I come across a kangaroo, that's fine. They'll just jump off and be more frightened than I would be. I don't want anything to do with dingoes.
Dingoes often sleep in kangaroo hollows and will attack if disturbed.
I went with my pick out front. If I disturb them, they might get nasty.
He has no option but to cautiously enter the shelter. If he stays out in the open, he's likely to freeze to death. The cave is empty, providing shelter, but little comfort.
The fact that I was only wearing a cotton shirt, jeans, I was just freezing cold.
We just kept looking and looking and looking and beeping the horn, and I stood up and just yelled and yelled and yelled. And then we thought, well, this is getting really serious.
As night draws in, there's still no sign of Theo. So Pauline and Brian turned for help to the people who know every inch of this terrain, the local Aborigines.
Can I help you?
Yeah, we've lost a fella of ours about 8 k's up the track.
Does he have any water on him?
No.
Derek, go and get some of the boys.
Unaware that a search effort is underway, Theo faces a long, cold night alone.
Here I was huddled into this outcrop of rock, which was only covering probably 2/3 of my body. I heard a motorbike, and I sat up and looked out to where the noise was, and I could see somebody. I started running towards the headlights and waving and yelling and screaming. The motorbike was too loud and they couldn't hear any yells or anything that was going on, and they just kept going, and I lost sight of them. I just couldn't believe it. That's when I knew I was going to be spending the night out in the open. That's when I knew I was in trouble.
Theo knows what a night exposed to the Outback will bring.
Bloody idiots.
I thought, this is it.
Theo has survived an ice-cold night. Although he missed a chance of rescue, he knows people are trying to find him. Daylight brings fresh hope.
They've got the people out in the ground looking. So, you know, I've got to be found. Everybody's out looking for me.
But help must come soon. Not only is Theo without vital heart pills, but as the daytime temperatures rise, so does the threat of dehydration.
I could see a fairly large outcrop of rock, and I thought, well, that's the place I need to be. If they're going to find me, they'll come and look at that place.
Theo's gone a full day without vital medication. But now, a search and rescue operation is underway.
Pauline?
Rescue plane will be here in an hour.
When they said the aeroplane was coming, that was when I thought, he's fine. You know, the aeroplane will find him. I mean, you see all these search and rescue things where the aeroplane finds people.
Guys, wait a sec. Can you take these, please?
What are they?
They're his heart pills. He needs them. He really needs them.
Without those, the heart goes into spasm and have another heart attack.
With police and volunteers helping, the Aborigines can now share their renowned tracking skills. But finding one person in such a vast terrain is like finding a needle in a haystack. Theo has had neither food or water and gone 24 hours without vital medication that regulates his heartbeat. His chances of dying are increasing with every hour.
I know my energy levels were dropping dramatically because I had no fat to burn whatsoever. I mean, I've only been out of hospital for 12 months. Finally got to the outcrop of rock.
Camouflaged against the scrub in his pale clothes, Theo's best chance of being seen is to find high ground.
I heard an engine going. And saw a plane flying around, and I realised that everybody's out looking for me.
Hey! Here! You! Hey! Hey! Oh, you beauty. Hey! Theo!
A spotter plane is heading straight for Theo. He's certain rescue is just moments away.
I figured from what I'd seen on TV, if he saw me, he'd sit there and he'd make the winds go side by side. Figure, oh, well, I'll look for that if that's the case. Didn't see me. I just said, oh, well, they'll see me the second time. The second time he flew over, I was waving and yelling and whatnot.
Come on, boy! Come on! Hey! Hey! Oh! Idiot! Buddy.
Despite flying directly overhead, the pilot failed to spot Theo against the scrub. It's a crushing blow. There are dozens of people looking for him, but he's never felt so alone.
Well, I called him every name under the sun. Yelled, screamed, threw rocks at him. Just couldn't believe that here I was out in the middle of nowhere, sitting on an outcrop of rock, and he couldn't see me.
Theo's situation suddenly worsens. Now, his body, weakened by his recent heart surgery, reacts to the frustration and physical strain of his ordeal. Just a year earlier, Theo's operation involved removing veins from his legs and grafting them onto his heart to pump blood more effectively. Medication regulates the blood flow, but without it, Theo's heartbeat can swing wildly out of control. He's at critical risk of heart failure.
I had visions of, grafts being blown off.
Theo Rossmulder has been lost in the Outback for more than 24 hours. Rescue planes have failed to spot him, and lacking vital medication, his heartbeat is now dangerously irregular.
The heart was going haywire, and I have to wait for it to calm down. I just hope the old ticker holds up, because the way it's thumping and bumping, it's not doing real well. With my battery on the detector, I knew it still had a bit of power in it. And I thought, well, if I could get the battery apart and wire up the batteries to actually spark. And have some bark there where I could actually try and get it going. Wired it all up so that they spark when I put the two wires together. I might be able to get a fire going.
Planes have been flying overhead every hour, but so far failed to spot him. Building a fire might be his only hope of being seen.
I'd put a lot of effort, probably most of Sunday afternoon, and I was putting all my hopes into that. The stuff that I wanted to light just didn't come to life, just didn't happen. I was totally disgusted that I'd wasted a good battery on an effort that didn't work.
As the second night falls, his chances of survival are fading fast. He again ignores the rules to stay in one place and continues to wander in the hope of finding the fence. But the more he walks, the more disoriented he starts to become.
I didn't have any actual sense of which way I was actually going to. I was walking away from where I was lost and not staying in the same area.
Alongside Theo's heart defect, 48 hours without water is now becoming life-threatening. A healthy person could go 3 days without it, but Theo is not healthy, and he hasn't had a drop to drink in 2 days. Severe dehydration pushes him closer to death with every hour.
When the body starts shutting down, it's not pleasant. Every part of your body hurts. You can't sit down without the part that you're leaning on. It just aches. When you start walking, your legs hurt, your arms hurt. It had gone from being saved and rescued to trying to survive, and the idea that there's a possibility you were going to die. I was getting so weak and thirsty. My throat was constantly dry, my lips were starting to get swollen. I had nothing to drink, there was just no water about whatsoever.
Theo's body is losing 2 to 3 litres of fluid per day, causing muscle cramps, headaches, and extreme disorientation. Desperate for fluid, he makes an uncomfortable decision.
And it all of a sudden dawned on me. Hang on a minute. You can't waste this. This is your body fluids going to waste. This is the stuff that's going to keep you alive. It's the only bit of moisture you've got. You know, this was pure water going through. When you decide that that's what you've got to do to survive, that first mouthful's bloody terrible. The first time it near made me sick. I'm thinking to myself, well, you know, I've come down a few pegs on the ladder having to do that.
Each time Theo drinks his urine, it becomes more concentrated and less hydrating.
The more times you put it through the system, the stronger it becomes, which in turn makes it taste even worse. I couldn't drink it. It was just too vile. I was just withering away, and it was just an ordeal. It's like trying to run a car on an empty fuel tank.
Some 70 rescuers are combing the landscape, trying to find Theo before it's too late. Based on where he was last seen, the police have defined the search area, but Theo keeps wandering in and out of it.
I was starting to lose hope, I think. They would come back and, I'm sorry, Pauline, I haven't found him.
And as ongoing air searches fail to spot him, Theo too is losing hope.
By the time he was flying over me 14 times, I'd given up. I basically knew he wouldn't see me.
Theo faces a third night lost in the Outback. Lacking both food and water, his energy is rapidly draining away.
It was just lonely, cold, and then all sorts of things go through your mind because you've got nothing else to do but think. And yeah, and it wasn't pleasant. I just, you just don't want to go there. It's, yeah, it was just terrible.
Suddenly, he hears the terrifying sound of a deadly new threat.
The dingoes and the wild dogs were watching me constantly. You really start to think, well, I'm not going to get out of this.
The Aborigine trackers have been searching for Theo around the clock.
Have a look at this.
They finally make a breakthrough and find one of his prints.
Yeah. And he's got company.
But they've also spotted another print alongside Theo's. The paw prints of a predator, the dingo.
Can I speak to you, missus?
Yeah, sure.
He's still alive.
How do you know?
We've seen his footprints. The dingoes are following him. They'll keep following him, missus.
Why?
In case he falls.
They were saying while an animal is still fit and healthy, a dingo won't follow. It will come look and then it'll go away. But once an animal is very poorly, they just keep their distance and track it until it falls.
Theo summons his last ounce of energy to keep moving.
As long as you're moving, they're not even going to come anywhere near you, but as soon as you fall down, they're in for the kill.
But as he continues to walk in and out of the search area, it hampers the rescuers' efforts to find him. Theo's mental reasoning has now become so clouded that he clings onto his expensive metal detector, but drops his pick, his only defense against the Dingoes.
I'd basically left the only decent weapon that I had against them laying back in the dirt. I thought to myself, well, I'm going to be dead within 24 hours.
And as his energy levels hit rock bottom, Theo was also losing his mind.
I was hallucinating. I knew I was seeing things.
Feeling lucky?
Today might be the day.
Theo's physical and mental decline means he had little energy to walk. His fourth night exposed to the freezing cold could be his last, as he risks dying of hypothermia.
It got very wild, very cold, very windy. So I basically just sat on my backside and shivered all night. You were shivering all the time, you were cold, you couldn't lay down, you were aching all the time. All you're waiting for is the sun to come up so you can just start getting warm again. I was in so much pain that it was starting to get unbearable. Stomach cramps. I was starting to think I wasn't going to survive. So thoughts of the wife, kids, friends were certainly coming into your mind. I was thinking I was going to die, so I might as well write notes to everybody on the back of this oxidised piece of tin, which I did. This is my last message. Haven't got any energy left, and just carried on from there. I love you all. Trying to explain, more so to my wife, that it was my fault that I was there. Because I told her I was bloody stupid. Yeah, and it shouldn't have happened. Religion becomes very, very strong.
Dear God, can you help us out, mate? If you see me out of this, I'll see you right, I promise.
Hi, love. It's Mum. There's something I need to tell you. It's your dad.
Theo's wife, Pauline, has been waiting on tenterhooks for news. Until now, she's resisted phoning their 3 grown sons to tell them their father's missing.
He went detecting with Brian and Doug, and he didn't come back.
don't worry. I said, as soon as the moon comes out tonight, he'll find his way back, honey. It's okay. I said, it's okay, Mum. He will be found. It's okay. And I'm crying and crying. And I didn't tell them that how vast an area we were in. And I mean, you could not imagine it.
He did defied her, isn't he?
By Monday, I think I had him as dead. I really did. I couldn't think that someone of his weight and health could live that long without food, water and his medication. I really didn't.
5 days lost in the outback without food, water or a single dose of essential heart medication have pushed gold hunter Theo Rosmulder to death's door.
There was nothing left in the tank. I was finished. I was actually wishing I'd die.
Theo is no longer looking for shelter. He's seeking protection for his corpse. He doesn't want his body to be eaten by dingoes.
If you're in a situation where you don't have any choices, bar one is how you're going to die, you start to think that, well, let's make it as best as possible. When I found that cave, I basically decided, well, that would be a good resting place. What I'd planned on doing was basically crawling into the hole and bricking the front of it up. I just didn't want to be a dog's dinner, basically. I was prepared to die. I knew I didn't have much time left. I heard a motorbike going off in the distance, and I looked over and I could see this motorbike, and I thought, are you seeing things? I thought, no, you're going crazy. It's not there. You've seen things before, and that's just not there. But I kept watching it. I was looking at something that I couldn't see, but it was there, and it pulled up. It wasn't right there in front of me. I either sit here and hope that he drives up close, or I start walking, like I've been doing for the whole week. It hadn't done me any good, but by God, I could walk. I started waving, but I mean, it was taking such an effort to even stand up and wave.
On the verge of death, Theo has narrowly missed another rescue opportunity.
I'm going to turn around and go back That was it. If I was going to die, that was the place I was going to die. I'd picked it. As soon as I could see them, that they knew where I was, I basically just collapsed on the ground. It was just a feeling of utter enjoyment. The emotions were going through that, it's finished. That the thought of dying's not going to happen. All the plans that I had of, going into the cave and letting nature take its course just wasn't going to happen. And, those guys, they're the best looking bunch of blokes I'd ever seen.
Rescuers found a fresh set of Theo's prints, and the Aborigines were finally able to track him down.
Can't explain it. It was just a huge relief. It was, oh, thank God.
After 5 days in the outback, Theo Rosmulders suffered from severe dehydration and lost some 35 pounds. Yet his heart survived the ordeal without major complications. He now knows that had he stayed put on day one, he would likely have been found within hours.
I thank everybody involved for the effort they put in. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. And like I've been telling people the whole way through, if you get lost, stay put. I mean, once you move away from where you're actually lost, you are lost. And it could cost you your life.